You know what I'm saying? I ain't nobody special. Who am I? I'm just some dude sitting in his attic. You know, he's sitting in his attic talking to the computer. Um, it's like brother Dino, like DL with so few tall buildings around, how did they not see him? We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. A lot of people did see this guy crawl up there. Definitely gonna get into that. In casual germs, I see why people would say it's staged. Trump and Vince McMahon are homies. Yeah, bro, but you're talking about a lot of stuff, man. You're gonna need some sort of squib for his ear if you're using blanks. People were deleted, bro. People lost their lives that day, not just the shooter. So no, I don't believe this was staged at all. You know what I mean? Brother Smeebles in the building. What's good, fam? I don't believe this was staged at all. You know, it's just one of those things. People, and we're gonna get into this more, but I think people find comfort in some sort of conspiracy versus, hey, some weirdo with a rifle managed to get some rounds off at a former president of the United States, scored at least one hit. There's talk out there that this guy may have scored multiple hits, and we couldn't stop him with millions and millions of dollars at our fingertips and our security protocols. This one weirdo got through all that and managed to do what he did. And I think that people find comfort in a conspiracy versus having to come to terms with the reality that it's really hard to stop one dude who has a problem and a weapon. It's really hard to stop him. Virtually impossible, especially in that type of setting. So I that's why I think that all this talk about conspiracy and whatnot, people just don't want to believe how easy it is for a crazy person to make history. You know what I mean? Casual Jerome Trump is addicted to being in the spotlight. Facts, bro. And he took full command of this situation. Full command. What he did was wow. He took full command of that. But let's continue.
Ready?
We good. Shooters down. Snipers total. We're in there clear. They're telling the driver they're coming. Still haven't moved. They're like, come on, sir, come on. Look at that.
I got you, sir.
Y'all hear that? Let me get my shoes. No, they'll be dragging him down there barefoot. This is a fail right here. The high value target, you know what I mean? The VIP does not dictate this part right here. No, he does not dictate this. His life is in jeopardy. You have no idea what else is out there. Every moment the former president is on this stage, he is vulnerable. You have no idea what's going on. Obviously there's some sort of attack. You don't know that it's a weirdo with a AR style rifle. You don't know that. You don't know if it's multiple shooters. You don't know if there's explosives involved. You don't know anything. You don't know if there's some people behind you. There's part of this plot. You don't know if there's people along the walkway. You need to get him out of there. Every moment that he is up there, he is vulnerable. Every moment. And he's saying, no, wait, let me get my shoes. That's a fail.
Let me get my shoes. Hold that in your head, buddy. So
hold on your head. Look, right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Look at that, y'all. A sniper can score 3 hits right there. 3 hits right there. At least for a trained sniper, 200, 300 meters, no problem. Scope weapon, no problem. This is a fail. You've just allowed the president to present himself again as a target. This is a fail. And you see that this agent right here realizes that the president is at risk, and he puts his arm in the line of sight of the president. This officer right here, this agent right here, I would probably just retrain him based on this move that he made.
Watch out.
He's saying, wait, look, he said, wait, he's trying to do this. And now I'm like, they're trying to do their job, but they're just really horrible at their job. Again, the president is vulnerable right now. The president is vulnerable. The people have no idea what's going on. They're screaming, we got to move, we got to move. He's not moving. He stops again. That agent is doing the best he can to keep his arms and try to help protect the president's head. But the president isn't moving. The former president isn't moving. Secret Service should be dragging him off this stage. He shouldn't have a say in this whatsoever. You shouldn't be able to see none of him. He should be behind that human wall, and they should be dragging him if necessary to the vehicle. The Secret Service female behind the vehicle over there to the left. There's one here. There's 1, 2. That's 3, 4. I've never seen that many. I've never seen that many Secret Service like female agents on the presidential detail. There's one on the far side of the vehicle. 2, 3, 4 women right here. And it's just an observation, guys. That has nothing. That's just an observation. Brothers, me was like, reality is hard to comprehend, and a made-up story makes people to feel at ease or easier to believe. Facts, Brother Smeebles. Facts. No one wants to believe that a lone gunman can go and do something like that, right? No one wants to believe that some, dude like Sirhan could get close to, RFK Jr. and do what he did. People like even Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, that case is a little different because it was so many moving parts and so many crazy things. But at the end of the day, could you put rounds on target from that book suppository building? Yes, it can be done. And was Lee Harvey Oswald was a Marine. Marines know how to shoot, but the weapon he used was really bad. And then that magic bullet theory, I don't believe that at all. But when you look at John Hinckley Jr., he managed to shoot President Reagan. Just some weirdo who was trying to impress an actress who was able to get there. I mean, it's when you're outside, it's really hard to control, right? It's really hard to control those situations. The most vulnerable the president is going to be is when they're moving from one spot to the next spot. When the presidents break away and go to the crowd and start shaking hands, the people in those crowds have not been cleared. Anyone can have a weapon. That's the most dangerous time. That's when Ronald Reagan they caught Ronald Reagan coming out of a building, and Trump here outside at a rally. That is just the hardest. And you're right, Sister Candace, incompetence. There's a lot of incompetence. There's, people get lulled into a false sense of security. They really should have been on guard for this event outside. Sister Candace, small female right at the side of Trump. Yeah. She can't pick him up if they needed to. Like if he was incapacitated, she wasn't unconscious. Like she'll have a hard time trying to help maneuver him down the stairs. And it is what it is. Casual Germs, put your fist down and get your ass in the air in the car. Yeah, put your fist down and get your ass in the car. That's what they wanted to say. What's wrong with you? Put your fist down and get your ass in the car. Casual Germs, that's hilarious. You know what I mean, brother? Brother Dino was like, DL Trump was asking for his shoe at the top of the stairs. Hey, I guess his shoes came off, or one of his shoes come out. I was like, hey, let me get my shoes. They should have just drug him away. That is their job. Casual Germs, to be fair, nothing ever goes 100% perfect in combat. That's a fact. That's a fact. So you train to a certain standard, and once you get your training done, you get out there. At least the confusion won't mess with you. You're focused on what you need to do. They didn't seem focused to me at all, bro. You know what I mean? Like Stacey Adams ain't cheap. Mama need my Stacey. I mean, my Gators now. Go get my Gators now. Ooh. This was a bad look. This was a bad look. So yesterday we were talking about if the shooter were outside of the secure area versus if the shooter was inside of the secured area. And there's a map here. And I didn't know all this, man. So we're going to look at this, y'all. I didn't know what the layout was yesterday. I didn't know. I just knew it was outside, and outside rallies are always a problem, when it comes to securing things, so here it is right here. Here's a map. And this is the map that was just been floating around out here. So you see the stage area where the former president was versus the rooftop where the shooter allegedly was. And then, you got this rooftop area behind the stage where the president would have been. And this is where the Secret Service or federal sharpshooters, whatever agency they came from, were set up. So allegedly, apparently, the sharpshooters that were behind the former president were able to engage the shooter who was over here on this building here. So, okay, so this is the big farm area. So I'm looking at this, right? And man, like, bro, there are professional snipers out there with weapon systems that can engage up to a mile. And the first thing I'm looking at, you see where the president is? Look up here. You see this huge thing of buildings over here. Looks like where people were parking to walk over to the event. I'm going to assume, and I shouldn't assume because these guys are horrible, but I'm going to assume that this cluster of buildings were secure by the detail, the protection detail. So I mean, you got some residential homes here, and you have this thing here because that's direct line of sight to the stage. I'm definitely worried about this, and people are like, well, that's a lot of distance there. Check and look at confirmed hits from a mile plus. There are a lot of operators out there that can do it. There are some very talented shooters out there that can do it, and they have the equipment, they have the weapon systems to make that happen. The shooter was way closer. And from what I understand, the distance from the shooter location and to where the former president was standing and was eventually hit was about 430, 450 yards. It's about a football field and a half. Is what I was hearing. I could be wrong. I don't know what the exact distance is. Trust me, when the investigation is complete, we'll know. So when you're looking at that, you're looking at a guy, 20-year-old dude, no military experience from what I can tell, has an AR style weapon. Not sure how much time this dude spent on the range. Of course, they'll find that out as well. He was about a football field and a half away from his intended target. Outside, there was wind. It wasn't Kentucky windish, but there was wind. When I was watching the video, there was some flags behind the stage. There was wind gusts, which is another thing too. Like, why would you have flags back there that aren't pinned down so they can't move in the wind? Right? Shooters need to see which way the wind is blowing so they can compensate for that. But that's out there. You got American flags fluttering back and forth. You can see which way the wind is blowing. He's in a prone position. Prone, looks like he was prone, unsupported. So what's supported? Supported means you have like a bipod or a tripod or maybe some sandbags or something that you can rest your weapon on, kind of like this. Unsupported means you don't. You just got your elbows. So you just down on your elbows, right? Your elbows are supporting you. You kind of, draw a beat or whatever. That's unsupported. So it's a lot of movement when it's just your elbow and whatever. But when it's supported, it's on something, you have more stability. So there's a difference between firing supported and unsupported. Laying down, prone, that is the best way to get rounds on target is laying down. You want to be prone. You can sit down and have a table or something, but like if you're in the field, the best way to do that, you make yourself the smallest top target possible, and it gives you an opportunity to get down, hopefully get something supported. Foxhole is best. You get into a hole and only this much of you is showing. But prone, supported is the best if you're trying to put rounds on target at a distance. Unsupported. So this guy with no real training that they can decipher or discern, it doesn't look like he had any real training. Got him an AR style weapon. Guess he went to the range a little bit. I don't know how much time he spent on the range. They're gonna look into that. Fired at least 7 rounds, scoring. Fired, I think, 7, 8 rounds or so. He scored 1 confirmed hit. We saw it on the ear, and there's possibility that he scored a second hit. Is being reported out there. Apparently, there was some sort of hole in Trump's suit. Now, I don't know if it was kind of like from the side or a grazing kind of thing, or was it a direct hit and the body armor caught it? And if it was an AR style weapon, I'm assuming 5.56 ammunition. It could, or a variant thereof. But this tells me that I don't think this guy had any real experience, and he still was able to score at least one hit. And remember what I was saying about the wind and not being supported. So what does all this add up to? This adds up to a very lucky day. You know, you guys might hear the term rather be, lucky than good. This was a lucky day because the system completely broke down. So now we talked about how base Oracle's in the building. What's good, fam? Like Mark Wahlberg's being framed. Bro, you crazy, man. Good to see you, brother. But you look at this. We just talked about him on top of the roof, taking his shots, doing what he ever has to do, right? Managed to get off at least 7 or 8 shots before security forces were able to put rounds on him. And they fired a few rounds and they scored hits. Of course they did. These are professional sharpshooters. You see, it only took the sharpshooters a couple of rounds to neutralize the bad guy. That's a pro. Right? We are lucky. About what I mean by we, United States, we're lucky that this young boy, this 20-year-old weirdo, didn't have any training. If he had any training whatsoever, it would have been a different outcome. He was only off by fractions, y'all. Fractions. It could have been the wind. If keeping it all 100, it could have been the wind to push that round off just enough so it didn't impact the cranial area and only graze the ear. But now the problem is, how the hell did he get on top of this building without being seen? You know, I think Sister Candace was saying that, or someone was saying that. He was seen. He was seen by multiple people. People were screaming at law enforcement. Hey, there's a guy. Hey, he's up there. Hey, there's a guy up there. He was seen. And before we get into that, let's look at this location here. Let me see.
Secret Service released a little bit more information.
I'm sorry that I can't get the closed caption off, but you got this cluster of buildings up here, right? You got this cluster of buildings. This entire area should have been off limits. This entire area should have been cordoned off. There should have been some sort of barrier, not tape either. There should have been some sort of barrier. You know, the barriers, the same barriers they put around the protected area for the crowd and stuff here around the stage. This entire area, especially this building here, but this entire area should have been a no-go zone, right? And they could have easily, in my opinion, I don't know how much money they have for the security detail. You could have had just local law enforcement and state law enforcement here, augmented by just regular old security guards. Like you can just, rent-a-cops or whatever you want to call them. You could have just had just people walking around, just unarmed security roaming all kind of over this complex. But around this area here, this is where you could have had your armed police. And I don't know if you guys can see my cursor moving around there, but all this should have been cordoned off. All of it. This whole area here. I don't know why it wasn't. That doesn't make any sense to me. If I'm worried about a building way over here, I'm worried about this building. Clean line of sight to our high value target, clean line of sight to the stage. It's elevated, which gives you an advantage. This was clearly a blunder. It's 100% a blunder. This area up here should have been cordoned off, and there should have been medium police presence, and then a lot of rent-a-cops running around. No one should have been allowed in here. And you can see it appears to be no cars parked except for over in this area. So it's like someone did a little something. They just didn't go far enough. Like, this would have been in a restricted area. No one comes over here. No one comes over here. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. Like that was just crazy.